All right, we should be live. Just going back to make sure everything looks good on YouTube. And so, yep, welcome. And I know, unfortunately, some people are probably going to go, wait a minute, why is he live now? Because when I first created the live stream, the stupid system scheduled it for an hour and a half from now. And so then I had to adjust it. So hopefully people will figure it out and be here soon. Um, and let's see. We make sure I'm going to go over to here and say, hey, Drew was messed up. Yeah, I'm live. All right, there we go. Because Cinnabon had a live stream go and said waiting for me, so I figured I'd let him know because he's busy playing poker. Anyway, so we got a lot to talk about today. We have She-Hulk, we have Lower Decks, and we have Andor, which of course, just for fun, decided to premiere with 3 episodes. Although when we get into it, it actually makes sense that they did 3 episodes. Yeah. And so let's start where we usually start and talk about She-Hulk a little bit. We had kind of a bottle up, no cameos this week. And we basically had a wedding from one of Jennifer's friends. And Titania decided to crash the wedding, and She-Hulk and Titania duked it out. And of course, too bad Kadish isn't here because it would have gotten a +1 from him since cousin Ched was in it. But yeah. So what was your thought of She-Hulk? Just Jen.
I don't know. Like I didn't like this episode that much. I mean, it seems to be getting less enjoyable for me. And just like last week, they didn't have a tag at the end, which was a bummer.
Yeah, that was kind of a bummer. But you didn't like this one.
I don't know why. I mean, I just, it's not. Yeah.
You sound depressed. I mean,
it's because I want to like the show, and I want to try to be like a positive Pete and stuff, and not be one of these angry, salty people on the internet that are always bitching and complaining. But I mean, so yeah, so it does sadden me. But no, I didn't enjoy it that much.
See, it's funny. We must have opposite tastes or something because I actually did enjoy this episode. So it seems like whenever you hate an episode, I like it. Whenever I hate an episode, you like it. But I thought that it was a fun little diversion from all the stuff. I liked the Mr. Immortal and his divorce case. I thought that was actually kind of funny because if you're a superhero and your power is when you die, you come back to life, which is what Mr. Immortal does. That means that technically, yeah, he can divorce all these people through death. And so that was a pretty good scam he had going.
Well, he's also a kind of a chicken, you know what? Because like he just.
Well, yeah, he's non-confrontational, so he just kills himself anytime, anytime somebody tries to push him.
Yeah, just jumped out of the window just to.
Yeah.
And like, does he? I wonder, like, did they address? Does he get sued for like the property damage? Like, he lands on somebody's car.
How can you sue a dead man?
But then he's back to life. I don't know. It's weird. The whole thing.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. He's and so that's interesting repercussions of having a superhero like that, or a superpower like that, I should say.
Yeah.
And so there. And now Stan Lee was asking, well, why is it that everybody thinks She-Hulk is hot? Because She-Hulk while she has green skin and is, almost 7 feet tall. Look at that body. That's what, she's got, like
Oh, look at
a
that
physically
body. I
perfect
work
body.
out.
Um, and so the, but Mr. Immortal, the concept, and I know he says he's more unkillable. Actually, the way his power works is he actually dies and then immediately regenerates. And so he really does die, and that's why he changes his name every time he dies, because now he's technically a different person. But then we had the wedding stuff, where with Titania crashing the wedding, everybody thinking that Jennifer is paranoid because she says the only reason Titania is here is to bother me. But then, of course, it turns out that is, in fact, which we knew from the beginning. I mean, why else would Titania show up at a mundane wedding? Right. Because she's so full of herself. And so what was it like? Did you not like the general structure of it? Did you want more legal stuff? Because there wasn't really, like Jennifer wasn't on a case this week.
It just felt like a throwaway episode to me. I mean, it didn't really.
Well, she actually mentions that in the beginning of the episode.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. This is a self-contained wedding episode. Inconvenient time for the series, I know, but that's how weddings work,
Yeah.
So basically, there's the straight up conceit to the audience that this is a filler episode.
I don't know. I just wanted to get to the story, man. Like who hired the wrecking crew? What is up with the weirdo?
Well, notice there's a little tease about that at the end.
Was there? You have to remind. Like usually,
there was after the wedding story is resolved, we see a laboratory where it looks like they may have somehow gotten some of Jennifer's DNA.
Right. Okay. Yeah. That was. See, and that could have been the tag. I don't understand why these last two episodes didn't have that.
Yeah, it's weird because just like in the last episode, the Daredevil cap could have been the tag.
Yeah.
I don't know why they changed it. But
because it just kind of goes back to Kadish's point where like he didn't like the tags because they didn't do anything to advance the story, and I thought it was a cool little like fun throwaway gimmick that it seemed like they were going to do every episode. Well, now that they're not doing them every episode, then I'd be more inclined to agree with Kadish. It just kind of I don't know. I'm not agreeing with the choices they've been making these last two episodes, I guess.
Right. Well, I don't know. I'm looking, because I like the little bit at the end where they kind of show, okay, something's coming. And Titania is obviously a part of it. And also kind of interesting, I don't know if you caught this, but Titania told, and I don't know if this is supposed to tease something else, but I'm sure it'll make sense at the end, or it was just a throwaway line. But but Titania mentions almost word for word what Blonsky says about the Hulk in the Incredible Hulk in the Incredible Hulk movie, which is that she doesn't deserve this power.
Right.
And Blonsky says that to Bruce.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm wondering what's going to happen to her. Like, does that mean that she's going to juice herself up with Jennifer's blood and become the Titania we know from the comics, where she can go toe to toe with pretty much anybody?
Yeah.
Or are they going to empower the wrecking crew, or both, or is Abomination coming back, or something totally new?
Yeah, I mean, just like, what's going on? Is Abomination coming back? I mean, have we? I just, I don't know, man. These episodes are too short, and I gotta wait a week in between each episode. See, now I just sound like I'm complaining. Never mind.
You just sound down, man. That's hopefully you'll be a little more happy about the other stuff. So
yeah.
Stan Lee says, does Salty know more about Titania from the comic book? Yes. So Titania first appeared in the original Secret Wars, not the garbage from recently, but the 1986 Secret Wars. She was a creation of Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom wanted to create some more bad guys to reinforce the ranks of the villains in that story. And so created Volcana and Titania. Titania's powers are very straightforward. She is pretty much the same power set we see in She-Hulk, but amplified. She is super strong, super durable, but she can definitely go toe to toe with She-Hulk in the comics. So, like in this show, it seems like She-Hulk is noticeably stronger than Titania, but in the comics, Titania is actually the stronger of the two. Okay. So that's. And so that's why I'm wondering if they're going to juice her up or something to make her stronger, because that would make her more like the comic book version.
Yeah.
Because the thing about Titania is that she doesn't seem like much of a threat. You know.
Well, I mean, she in this episode, she
beat herself, but
well, I mean, she punched. I mean, Jen was kind of drunk, and I don't understand why she didn't just. I don't know.
Well, yeah, it seemed like she got a couple licks in on Jen this time, but the at the same time it was she fell flat on her face, and she left out of embarrassment. But it didn't seem like Jennifer was in any real danger.
Yeah, but she couldn't. Wasn't it like she couldn't? I should have watched it more than once. She couldn't turn, right? Didn't she try? Like when she
tried again, but I think the alcohol, because remember, Jennifer is affected with alcohol like anybody else. Right. She-Hulk is immune, and so she was so drunk that she couldn't perform. She had whiskey dick basically.
Yeah,
and so, but once she managed to transform, then she should have been free of the alcohol poisoning.
Yeah.
So so I think the bottom line with She-Hulk, I thought it was a good episode, not a great episode. You sounded like you think it was one of the weaker episodes, or
not the weakest. I still the previous week's episode was not as it was weaker, I guess you could say. I'm just ready for this to get to some meat and potatoes, man. I want to know, like, I want to know what's up, like who's trying to get Jen's, like who, you know what I mean? That's what I'm, I want some questions answered.
And Bird O'Prey 5 with a $2 super chat. There we go. So thank you, Bird. Wants to know if Dork Knight watched Lower Decks. Yes, I hope you have, because we're about to talk about it. You didn't watch it?
Mm-mm.
Has Dork Knight watched Lower Decks EP5?
You didn't watch it. You seriously? You come on here. Yeah, you've been on an extra day and you didn't watch it.
You gave me 3 episodes of a terrible show I had to watch called.
Wait. I didn't give you 3 episodes of a show. Disney Plus gave you 3 episodes of a show.
Yeah, well, I didn't know we were going to talk about it until yesterday. And so it was like, do I watch these 3 episodes of Andor, or do I get caught up and watch the last 2 episodes of Lower Decks? So I went with Andor because I was expecting to like it. But spoiler alert, I didn't. So that was a bummer.
Well,
you know what I really enjoyed, if I can hijack this for a little bit, just to really upset everybody?
Here he goes.
So my birthday was Tuesday.
Oh, I didn't know that. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Yeah. And my son, my oldest son.
I'll take $10 off the $300 you owe me.
Thank you. So we and yeah, in the chat we can talk about it anyway. It's not a big deal, the Lower Decks. But my oldest son came over for my birthday. Basically, his birthday present was to hang out with me for the length of a movie. So I picked the longest movie I could think of that I hadn't seen yet. And I'm only halfway kidding. He actually picked out the movie. Elvis. Have you seen the Baz Luhrmann Elvis movie? I didn't even know this thing was a thing.
Is that the one where they deal with the racism?
I mean, that's got that in there, but it's got Tom
like
Hanks.
in the trailers of one of the, because there's 2 Elvis movies that came out recently.
Oh, there are? Okay, I didn't know about either of them. No, this one was good. It has this kid in it I'd never heard of before who does a killer like, I mean, he needs to win awards. Like, he does a
Was it
great
as good as when Val Kilmer was Jim Morrison?
That's a good question, but these are different. So that's like more serious.
Because Val Kilmer was Jim Morrison.
Yeah, no, I agree. I would say it equaled that performance. I mean, this kid played the guitar, he danced, he sang. Because so the quality of because my son, like, he got me into this whole rabbit hole. So we were watching other things after the movie, like making of stuff, and the quality of Elvis from the 50s, like his earliest work, is not good, and they couldn't use it in the film because like the sound wouldn't work, right? Like it wouldn't match or whatever. And so the kid that plays Elvis, he actually performs those songs himself as Elvis Presley. And then as Elvis gets older and they have a better quality sound, they actually kind of mix in the real Elvis and the actor's like voice, kind of like an amalgamation of the two. And it was really like, I learned a lot of interesting stuff I didn't know. Like in my grandfather's widow, she's not my grandmother, but my grandfather's widow, was a huge Elvis fan. And my son, when he came over, he's like, remember that room Joanne had that she wouldn't let anybody, because it was basically like an Elvis room, like a shrine, the whole bedroom. She wouldn't let anybody in there for whatever reason. And he was like, man, all I could think of was like watching this. I was like, I wonder if she got that, like, because, they're showing all the different merch in the movie, because Colonel Parker, I guess, was the first person to really come up with merchandise, or at least that's how they portrayed it in the movie. But yeah, that dude was a scumbag. Like, apparently, like, he wasn't a colonel of anything. His name wasn't really Tom Parker. He wasn't even American. And that's why Elvis never left the country to tour, because Parker would keep making excuses so that he wouldn't be found out.
Because he didn't have a passport. And
he didn't have a passport, didn't have an ID, didn't have anything. It was like, it's nuts. So, but it was, I highly recommend it, even if you're not, because I wouldn't call myself an Elvis fan at all, but it was a really good movie and really impressive performances. And I've never seen a movie where I hated Tom Hanks, but I hated Tom Hanks in this movie. I mean,
that's amazing. If they can get you to hate Tom Hanks, that's an incredible movie.
Yeah, because he played Colonel Parker, and they put the prosthetic, like, made him overweight and big old like walrus looking face and nose and the accents, and it was all very, very, I was surprised I hadn't heard of it. It was very good. So it's on HBO Max if anybody wants to check that out.
Yeah, that's what Donnie was saying. He'll check it out on HBO Max.
What's this other Elvis movie you're talking about, though?
I'm trying to remember, because the wife was the one, like, now I'll tell you, I don't give a crap about Elvis, which I know is sacrilege to say that, considering I live in Tennessee, which is, his home state. Yeah. But I never really gave a crap about Elvis. My wife, when she was a kid, used to love the Elvis movies, okay. And so, but other than that, that's about the extent of our family's caring about Elvis. Neither my parents or her parents really were Elvis fans. So, but there was a trailer for this one Elvis movie that looked like it would, and I don't know if that movie hasn't come out yet or if it already came and went, because these biopics, sometimes they come and go and you didn't even catch it.
Right.
And
apparently this came out in July, and I just heard about it,
right. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah.
Austin Butler. That's the kid's name, Austin Butler. He was great as Elvis Presley.
Right. So the one you're talking about was just called Elvis, right?
Yeah, by Baz Luhrmann.
And let's see. Trying to see if and one Elvis movie, but in the trailer for one of them, because I think the reason that my wife said she didn't think this was the movie that the trailer that we saw was for, because the guy that played Elvis looked different to her. Let's see.
This guy was spot on, like the Austin kid, because my son pulled up a couple of videos where they do side by sides. Because again, I wasn't watching the movie and then being like, oh wow, he looks exactly like his comeback special or whatever. Because I didn't see him, I didn't know. But they have these side by side videos on YouTube, and my God, that dude looked just like Elvis. It's crazy. Like they did such a good job.
But yeah, so the one thing that kind of impressed her about it was, because a lot of people, boy, I see Tom Hanks in that fat makeup. That looks,
yeah.
But let's see, who can't sing? Yeah, I get it. You used to do the pelvic thrust.
Yeah, Stanley, you're absolutely right. He did. The director did do. That's why when you were asking me about Val Kilmer and the Doors, this movie is a totally different. It's a very stylized movie. It's the same guy who did Moulin Rouge and Romeo and Juliet with Leonardo DiCaprio, and you can. And actually, it works for Elvis. So I actually like. Usually, I don't like his style, to be honest, but it worked really well for this movie.
And let's see. Elvis movie trailer. Yeah, I can't find anything on it now. I got it. But anyway, the thing that had my wife impressed was that in the trailer, it looked like they were going to deal with some of the accusations of racism and stuff like that, and how Elvis felt about it.
Oh man, this movie is good. Like it kind of does. Maybe it's the same movie because he they talk about his roots growing up in a poor, mostly black neighborhood, and they're showing him as
right. And it seemed like Elvis was like one of a person who was saying it was wrong, what was going on.
Yeah, and, he got in again, it's a movie. I don't know, they
how accurate it is,
right? But I guess apparently they were going to throw him in jail for like breaking segregation laws or something. He was faced with either go to jail or join the army, and that's why he joined the army. And it had to do with the fact that he refused to not commingle with his black friends, because they show again they have a scene with Little Richard and BB King and what's the other that singer's name, the Rosetta lady, I can't remember, but it was really it really did deal a lot with there's a scene where they talk about Martin Luther King getting assassinated, and
it must be that must be the same one. Maybe it was just a poster that she saw that she thought it was a different guy. But yeah, that's I've never been a big fan of Elvis, but I'm certainly willing to see the movie. From what I've seen, it looks like it's pretty good.
Yeah, it was good. I was surprised I hadn't even. It just was totally off my radar. I didn't even know about it. So sidetracked us a little bit there. I know that's not really nerdy.
So now that you completely ruined the stream,
sorry.
Let's and you didn't bother seeing Lower Decks, so
you can still talk about Lower Decks.
Well, I'll just give a real brief rundown. So this week on Lower Decks, Boimler and Mariner are assigned to a Federation recruitment table at a job fair, and they hate it. And meanwhile, Rutherford is having nightmares about an evil douchebag version of Rutherford that turns out to be what Rutherford was before he got his implants. And that apparently Rutherford's been lied to his whole life. And that, well, at least his whole life since he got the implants. He thought he volunteered to get the implants so that it would help improve his cognitive abilities. But in actuality, Rutherford was a complete douche in Starfleet Academy and was secretly building ships, even though he's not supposed to. And the ship exploded, and they put the implants on him to save him against his will. And he doesn't know who the person is that did that or why. And if it sounds rather serious for a Lower Decks episode, it's because it was. And that was, I mean, it was heavy on story, which was good, but it was very light on comedy, which was bad. And so, and hey, Cece, how you doing? So,
Hey,
I did like that, Stan, is that like at one point, like when Mariner's trying to recruit somebody, she's like, it's not like it's the military. And then you hear the other person from off screen going, yes, it is, you know, so I love that. But there wasn't enough zingers in this to really feel like a good Lower Decks episode, but I thought the story was interesting. So I'm really mixed on it.
Okay.
And so you should watch it sometime this week, and we'll talk about it next week because we'll only have one episode of Andor to talk about.
Yeah.
Next week. But so let's talk about the 5,000-pound bantha in the room. And so you obviously did not care for Andor.
I was disappointed. I literally said out loud, I was watching by myself this morning, and I literally said, if I did not have to talk about this show, I would turn it off right now. I would rather just watch something else. It was just so slow. It was so, and like, I get why they released the 3 episodes, because if I wouldn't even bother. If all I got was episode 1, I wouldn't even bother tuning in next week.
Right.
It takes the 3 episodes just to.
It's the 3rd episode before anything happens.
Yeah, and it's just like, that's not good. That's not, you know. And I don't even know if I obviously I like Rogue One a lot, and I liked Cassian Andor in that movie a lot. But he's not very likable in these first 3 episodes. He kind of like takes advantage of people. He uses people. He just although that snitch got what was coming to him. So I mean, they're just I'm kind of all over the place. I don't know if you want to structure this like we normally do or not, but it was just really slow. Like, how did you feel about it?
But let me ask you. So did you dislike it or did you just not like it? Because there's a difference.
I don't hate it, but it was like, what is your thing? Like, it was like watching paint dry. Isn't that how you know? So
it was a straight up, this is meh.
Yeah, that's how I felt about it. They kept it was just so slow. It just like,
gotcha.
And I didn't know what was going on, and I was like,
okay, so
I want to watch Game of Thrones instead or something. That's how
I absolutely hated this 3-part introduction to the series. I hated it with a passion.
Okay.
I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I think this is like a complete insult to Star Wars. It's just bad. And don't get me wrong, from a technical aspect, it's beautiful. It's the writing is good, the acting is good, the visuals are great. The casting, like of the people outside of Andor is good.
Well, I would disagree with some of that. The writing good. Like, why does that one guy have such a hard on when his boss told him, like, cover it up? Don't deal with it. Okay, so sorry.
Here's my problem. It would be perfectly fine if the guy that you were talking about having a hard on to get him, if he was the hero and Andor was the villain, then it would be a good show. Because the problem is Cassian Andor is a straight up murderer.
Yeah.
Right? Because the first guy was accidental, fine. Then the other guy was like, okay, here's how we'll
blank.
deal with this.
Yeah.
We'll say was it because he's basically trying to work with them at this point because they were trying to mess with him, but they weren't planning on anybody dying.
Yeah.
And so he's like, we'll say it was an accident. You guys were roughing it up and he fell. No big deal. And then he just shoots him in the face.
Shoots him, like I said, like not a likable character.
Yeah. Andor is a straight up murderer at that point. And so then we see the upper echelon of the security on this planet. And the one guy goes through the night investigating this, putting together what might have happened and trying to get together any leads he has. And what does his boss say? Screw it. Just say, they died by accident. I've got to go deal with a conference. And so this guy is trying to do the right thing in bringing a murderer to justice. And we're supposed to think he's the bad guy. He's a bad guy because he's trying to do his job. And he's not Imperial. It's not like he's an Imperial agent that's like a mustache twirling villain like most of the Imperial agents are. This guy works for local security on a planet, and in his jurisdiction, a double homicide took place, and he wants to get to the bottom of it.
Yeah. But we're supposed to root for the murderer.
Right. But no, it's because, and the only reason we're supposed to root for the murderer is because his name is the name of the show.
Yeah.
And so, I really, really did not care for that because, and I know that you and I have a difference of opinion on this, but that's one of the reasons I didn't like Rogue One, at least at the beginning, is because Andor pulled a stunt like that in Rogue One, where he and the other rebel were cornered and he just blasted the other rebel and got away.
So maybe they're trying to establish that, he's always been a scoundrel or whatever, and because, we know how his story ends, we know he's going to ultimately redeem himself and he's going to die on the beach where, with this chick. I forget
with not Ray.
Yeah.
But and Stan's trying to argue we've had guys like Tony Soprano and stuff in the past, but let me tell you, I don't watch The Sopranos for similar reasons. I don't want to watch movies where the bad guy is the hero. I'm not interested in that. I want the hero character to be a hero character. I want to have, a good guy to root for. And I understand if people want to watch like crime dramas and stuff like that. I'm not judging anybody. I'm not saying you're a morally bankrupt person if that's what you like. I just don't like that. That's just not my thing.
Yeah. And this, I don't know, who is this show for? Like, really?
Right. It's clearly not. Well, here's the funny thing. And I laughed at this so hard because this show seems like it's for people that like shows like The Sopranos, right? Where, you're going to see the criminal element that's going to be, the heroes of the show. But if you look at the beginning of the show, it seems like it's only, and I mean only, for hardcore Star Wars fans, because the nerve of these people to say the name of the planet and then 5 BBY without any explanation as to what 5 BBY means, right? So unless you are a true hardcore Star Wars fan, you have no idea what BBY even stands for. And which I don't know if you know that or not, but I only know it because of the YouTube stuff that I do. And so do you know what the BBY is?
No, I have no idea.
Okay. So did you catch that at the beginning though, where it had
I did. I was wondering, like, because there were two scenes where they tell you where they are and they give you like a caption and then would have like some gibberish, some code or something, and I'm like, okay.
Right. So BY is the Battle of Yavin. In other words, the first Star Wars movie. Okay. So BBY is before the Battle of Yavin. Oh, okay. Okay. And so, in other words, this takes place 5 years before the original Star Wars, which in turn would mean 5 years before Rogue One, because Rogue One takes place immediately before Star Wars.
Oh yeah. So this is okay. So Well, I like that they did that. Then I wish I'd have known that. Thank you.
Right,
for
but they
telling me. So
could have
This is 5
said,
years before. Yeah.
right. But the problem is that since most people don't know what BBY is, including yourself, it would have made more sense to put 5 years before the Battle of Yavin, and then if they could have put in parentheses BBY to kind of fill people in, you know. But since they just put 5 BBY, I think they're expecting everybody to get it. And you're right, Stanley. They do not use BBY in any of the movies. That's why I said you have to be a hardcore fan to know what it means, because you will not get it just from watching the movies. And so I just, that bothers me. So and if they would have thrown in some bogus date, just like they did on Star Trek in the old days with Stardate, if they had just thrown in some bogus date, like, the year 3297, we wouldn't have known any different, right? We'd be like, okay, fine. But and Stan, it doesn't make sense in universe, but this is a message to the audience to try and tell the audience when this takes place. But it's only a message for, like, what are you supposed to do if there's no hardcore fans in your household? Just scratch your head and say, what the heck does that mean?
Yeah. Or like, I really hate it when movies or shows have long scenes of dialogue in a foreign language, or in this case, a made-up language, and no subtitles.
Right.
Like, that drives me nuts. Like, every time they did those flashback scenes to, I guess, Canary or whatever, the kids are all talking in their own language, and
what the heck are they?
Like, no subtitles. It's just, I hate that. Like,
and they're like trying to say, oh yeah, it's authentic, and I love, like, this, if you have the subtitles on, it just says speaking in alien language, it's like, oh, thanks, that
was helpful. That was really, thank you.
So that bothered me, but what really bothered me was the fact that we're rooting for a murderer. And we're supposed to root against the guy who's trying to protect his planet, and doing anything he can to bring a murderer to justice. That's just screwed up. And so this takes place 5 years before Rogue One, and we see, basically the first episode is about him basically committing the murder and then escaping.
It was totally unnecessary. The
second episode was just him hiding out. And then the third episode was the police coming to get him, and then he escapes thanks to the timely intervention of
whatever
Dr. Selvig from the Marvel universe. And so, which obviously he's connected with the rebels. And here's another thing that I really actively disliked, is that Dr. Selvig tells him, oh yeah, I've been looking at you, casting Andor, and I think, you've got talent and everything that we can use. And it's like, oh, okay, so the rebels are looking for murderers. Shouldn't the
you got to think about it. Isn't it Kevin Smith who always made the point that, like, the rebels are actually the bad guys?
That's the thing, is that, like, I know, like, Thomas just put rebels are scum in the chat, because Thomas uses Emperor Palpatine as his avatar when we play Minecraft together.
Okay.
And so, but this is a show that supports the idea that the Empire did nothing wrong. This is that kind of a show. Because if I was the type like Thomas that wants to argue that rebels are scum and terrorists and all that, and the Empire is actually the legitimate government and all that, this is a show that agrees with that.
Yeah, I feel like maybe this is Kathleen Kennedy's way of completely deconstructing Star Wars even more. And then by the end of her reign, it'll turn out that we were all cheering for the bad guys all along, and the Empire's actually the good guys. And
well, I don't know that Kathleen Kennedy made the decision. I'm just I'm not pointing the fingers at anybody.
Well, I didn't see in the credits. I didn't see Favreau or Filoni's name on this anywhere. It's just
this isn't a Favreau project.
Yeah, this is just what's his name,
But this is Favreau's a showrunner over on Mandalorian. He's not working on this.
Well, yeah, but didn't he have something to do with Kenobi and Boba Fett and Mandalorian?
I don't know if Favreau did. I'd have to go back and look.
Yeah.
But
he doesn't even get a producer credit on this or anything. So
right,
but it's got nothing to do with him. Yeah.
Could Kenobi have been a part of the Andor story and chronologically? Yes, you could see a Ewan McGregor Kenobi in this, and it would work.
Mm-hmm.
And you could also and who knows, we will see Darth Vader. But that's always a possibility. However, the only thing I'd like to see Obi-Wan Kenobi do is slice Andor's head off. The problem is that won't happen because he's in Rogue One.
Yeah, and that's the problem with these prequel shows.
Yeah, we know there's nothing wrong with him.
I mean, there's no way we'll ever fear. Oh my God, is he going to make it? Is he going to die? Well, yeah, because we know exactly what's going to happen.
Now, Dr. Selvig, he's probably dead meat. I'd be willing to bet he dies by the end of the series.
Yeah.
If that droid comes with him, the droid will eventually be killed. His adopted mom, she's probably dead meat. His girlfriend, she'll probably die too because he hooks up with not Rey later on.
She's not his girlfriend. She was the snitch's girlfriend.
Yeah, but you see, that's what they do in these things, and it's like, so obviously they had chemistry and he liked her, but he wouldn't make the move on her because he's an honorable guy. But now that her husband's dead,
first of all, honorable, he's a murderer.
Well, I'm trying to suggest that that's what the writers are saying. That I don't agree with it, but
yeah, I got you.
I mean,
okay.
It's just it's just a mess. The show is an absolute to me, the whole point of Star Wars, and it's even murder at a brothel. What a great guy, He goes to the brothel looking for his sister.
Is that even true though? I mean, like,
who knows if that's true?
I mean,
but he did have a sister in the flashbacks, so maybe it is true. So he's going to a whorehouse looking for his sister, and then when he leaves the whorehouse, he runs into a couple of cops and ends up killing them. Now, granted, the cops were douchebags, but
they're the same. They were the same. Those were
they were the two at the bar.
Yeah.
And and I'm just saying, granted, the cops that were going to rough him up and they were douchebags and they just wanted to get some money out of him. But, he should have, since he's such a badass, he should have incapacitated them and then ran.
Yeah. But the whole, I don't know. And I feel so bad for the dude chasing him down because he's going to have to get in trouble because he basically disobeyed his boss.
Right.
Tried to take matters into his own hand, catching this dude, gets a bunch of people killed and equipment and ships destroyed in the process. It looks totally out of his. It looks like he's going to cry by the end of the third episode. Like he just, it's like,
well, probably because look at how many people got killed. And yeah, by the way, Andor literally does a Grand Theft Auto and plows through the police.
Yeah,
and we're supposed to be going, yes. When it's like none of these cops did anything wrong. None of them did anything wrong.
Just doing their job. Yeah, I don't know who this show's for. Maybe they're trying to cater to criminals, like real life criminals. Like, hey, here's a show for you guys, because we're Disney. This doesn't even make. I don't know what they're doing. It doesn't make sense to me.
Oh yeah, and I saw a few minutes ago Stanley was saying how my well, first of all, I'm completely hopped up on painkillers, and second of all, Mike Richards already put Google diverticulitis. That's what I have, which is excruciatingly painful, I will tell you. But I'm don't want to be absent from YouTube like completely. So anyway, the so yeah, and you know, I'm sitting there like, oh man, I feel like crap. Well, at least I've got 3 cool new Star Wars episodes to watch, and then I was just getting more and more angry.
Yeah. You know, like, it's sad. I mean, they keep screwing up Star Wars, man. Like, why? Like, how do you screw up like the Obi-Wan Kenobi show? Remember how mad I got about that? Like, and I had to
No,
just,
you see,
like,
I didn't hate Obi-Wan Kenobi like you did, but I will say, how do you screw up Boba Fett?
yeah, there you go.
You
like,
know,
that.
Because I think we can agree on that, is that you know, Boba Fett was a hot mess, and it's like, how do you screw up? Like, Boba Fett is like the coolest guy in the original trilogy, and he hardly did anything.
Yeah.
And you take that guy, and then it's like, okay, you're gonna do a movie about this badass criminal, and what do? He like walks around trying to make friends with everybody.
Yeah, trying to
And
be
it's like,
fair and
how's
stuff.
this
He wouldn't
Boba
be
Fett?
fair. Yeah, it was. So I don't know what I don't know what they're thinking over there at Star Wars Land. You know, I don't know, but I mean, are we going to
At
keep
least the Mandalorian still, you know, there's
Yeah.
that.
Are you gonna make me watch next week's episode? Or are we gonna keep talking about this show?
Of course.
Oh God! All right, kill me.
You know, that's the whole point, is to make you suffer in some way.
So why don't you watch a show that I'm watching for fun? I'm not even talking about it on any shows, and it's the House of the Dragon. That's a good like the episode, the most
Well,
recent
the
episode.
problem is, in order to watch House of Dragon, I'd probably want to watch Game of Thrones.
No, you don't have to at
Yeah.
all. It takes place over 100 years before. It's like 170 years or something like that before.
Right. So is everybody a scumbag like they are in Game of Thrones?
I mean, not everybody, but you know, like the
So,
king is
yes.
the king. No, the king is kind of like he's not a good king. He's kind of limp, if you were. He's just he's not a very, you know, and he's sickly. There's always like something wrong with him. And then his brother is played by Matt Smith. Now he's a scumbag. He's a real scumbag. Why is Boba Fett cool, but Tony Soprano is a criminal? Well, see,
Because,
we were promised that the Boba Fett show was supposed to be like the Star Wars version of The Sopranos. That's what was being pitched. Was like he's going to be the crime lord, you know,
and I'll tell you, Bird, I was against the concept of a Boba Fett show when it initially came out, because I was saying, well, I don't want a show that's just about a criminal. But then I understood that a lot of people think that Boba Fett is this awesome badass, and that a lot of people thought Boba Fett was so cool from his brief appearances as a bounty hunter in the original trilogy. So I'm saying, how do you screw that up? Because nobody liked Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
And so they tried to make him a nice guy, but they didn't make him. But then he's like walking around going, good golly, I want to get my criminal empire up and running. And it's like, what criminal empire? You're negotiating with everybody. Everybody's voluntarily, you know, what's the crime?
Yeah, it was terrible.
Oh, wait, you want to get drugs off the planet? Yeah, you're such a horrible criminal. You know, because that's the thing. If you're going to build up that this guy's a criminal, make him a freaking criminal. You know, I personally, if I was going to watch a show, I would rather have a hero character. That's why I like Mandalorian so much, because I like the fact that Din Djarin redeems himself in the first few episodes and then is a hero character for the remainder. But then in Book of Boba Fett, I'm going in expecting the Sopranos of Star Wars.
Right.
And instead I get, I don't even know what to call it, because we're supposed to think he's a criminal just because he says he is, but we don't really see him breaking any laws, and instead we see him defending his city. How is that? Boba Fett should be oppressing that city. You know, that it makes no sense. Yeah. So, you know, I don't get me wrong. That wasn't the show I wanted, but I also don't want him to like suddenly turn, you know, screw up Boba Fett. You know, I would like to see that if they were going to do a Book of Boba Fett show, I say you turn him into a badass criminal where he's oppressing the city. And then in a future show like the Ahsoka Tano show, you have her trying to take down Boba Fett.
See, that better idea than what they've come up with.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that would be a better way to do it. Have I ever watched Sopranos? I watched a few episodes. I didn't care for it, but I also didn't like The Godfather. Most gangster movies, I don't really care about.
I watched
the only
it,
gangster movie I really liked was The Usual Suspects.
I watched The Sopranos when it was out, but and you know that's been like a very long time. So
yeah,
I just remember hating the last episode because they didn't really resolve anything, but everybody's like, well, they were about to get raided, and I was like, did they really though? I mean, I don't know. Anyway, I don't know why we're talking about a 20-year-old TV show now.
Yeah, well, that I haven't even seen. So
yeah,
but yeah, this it's just kind of weird because Boba Fett is a character that it's like you already know what he's like. He's doesn't talk much, is quick to shoot people. He's a badass, and he wants to take over. Basically, he sees an opening because Jabba the Hutt's dead, so he's going to take over and basically run Jabba's territory. But apparently, what was Jabba doing? Nothing. Because, I mean, how is Jabba?
Jabba was. How long had Jabba been dead at this point? Like how much time has passed? Do we know? Like how long was he in the Sarlacc pit? And
I don't. They never gave a specific date, but let's say it's within 10 years. Because Bib Fortuna is running Jabba's district, and notice how big and fat he got.
Yeah.
So it's been a few years to get that big. I mean, you can't get that big in a year.
I like Stanley's comment. They did the opposite of Breaking Bad. Yeah. And it was not, it was not entertaining.
Yeah. And so I just, but yeah, so you have Boba Fett taking over a criminal empire. That's all set up for you. Cassian Andor, as far as trying to do a show about him, first of all, unless they go back to this planet and back to Mr. Hardon in a future episode, then these first 3 episodes were a complete waste of time.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, they're gonna have to follow up with that guy. Because in the episode, basically, I don't know if it ends on him, but one of the final scenes is just like, him being like out of it, and this little fat sidekick guy, second in command dude's like, hey, come on, we gotta go, and he's just totally like, like in shock or something,
Well, you would be too if you had like 50 cops trying to catch one guy and he gets away by running over all your cops and killing most of them.
Yeah, and then why is this whole planet a bunch of scumbags? Like, why did the friend of Cassian's, who I guess works at the thing, he's the one that tethered the ship to that crane thing, making it crash and explode? Like, are they all like just like, you know what I mean? Like
right?
It's like everybody there's a criminal, I guess.
Well, like, I would like, and the thing is, it wouldn't be that hard to fix. First of all, instead of some private security firm, you make it an imperial planet. Mm-hmm. All right, because everybody knows the Empire's the bad guys, right? That's Stan Lee even said that in the chat. Everybody knows the Empire's evil, and so if it's a couple of imperial security guys, now we have a reason to dislike them from the beginning.
Yeah,
and you make it to they're gonna say, they say something like, "Oh no, looks like we found another dead guy in the streets. Guess we'll have to check for his ID." Something like that. Like they're gonna kill him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or even like while they're while the guy's patting him down looking for money, you have the other guy get on his comm link and be like, yeah, dispatch, looks like we found a dead guy in the alley. And so as soon as he hears that, he goes into action to defend himself. And if he kills them under those circumstances, hey, that's self-defense.
No, he straight up cold-blooded murdered that dude, shot him in the head when he was begging for his life. You know, like
So if you make it a self-defense thing, then he escapes and the Empire's coming after him. But and then you have Dr. Selvig show up and say, boy, you really managed to piss off the Empire. You're our type of guy.
Oh, why do you keep writing better stuff than these guys that make millions?
That would make more sense to me.
Yeah.
Is that if then we could actually root for Cassian Andor. And by the way, you could do all that in one episode.
Yeah.
You don't need 3 episodes to tell that story. I think they just wanted to get 12 episodes in because people were sick and tired of these, 6-7 episode stories.
Well, if I got to sit through something like the first 2, because the third one was just by default better. Because
the third one had some action in it.
Yeah, I'd happily take just 6 or 7 episodes if you're going to give me a bunch like the first 2, because I got
and then you have your Imperial officer who wants to kiss up to and get to be working for Vader or something, and that's why his uniform's always perfect and why he's by the Imperial book, and so he's going to be obsessed with bringing these guys to justice.
Yeah, that makes way more sense.
Right. And that way, and when Mr. Bossman goes off to give the speech about how great their crime rates are, he could be getting on the comlink saying, yeah, he's lying to you guys, because he's trying to butter up the higher ups and get his boss's job.
Right.
And so, all of a sudden you understand, this guy is kind of, he'll betray his own boss in order to gain a better position. And he doesn't care about whether or not Cassian Andor is innocent or guilty. He just wants to get him for his own personal gain. And you make it basically you could even have the conversation with the boss guy where he's like, well, how our troops get. They were probably just trying to get some money from this guy. But this guy doesn't care about that. He just wants to kiss up.
Right.
He wants to brown nose his way to the top. And unfortunately, instead, they just give us a murderer who we're supposed to root for.
What do you think is going to happen to this guy? Because I don't think his story is like. Do you think he's going to get, or do you think we're not going to see him anymore? The guy with the tailored suits.
I hope that I hope that we see more of him, just because I'd hate to think that the first 3 episodes were completely pointless.
Right.
But if anything, I think that he'll just be continually trying to track him down. And eventually he'd join the rebellion as well when he realizes that they're going against the Empire. Because notice that the security guys didn't seem that they cared for the Empire very much, because remember, the boss was even saying, the more we can keep the Empire away from us, the better it is for everybody.
Yeah.
Or you could have him be like, hey, I like the Empire because they know how to keep peace and order.
Yes, Stanley. He does help get the plans in Rogue One, and this seems like this is just a big recruitment thing by whoever Skarsgård's character is, and to get
Dr. Selvig.
Okay, that guy, Dr. Selvig. Yeah. Basically, he
opened up a portal from Earth and ended up in a galaxy far, far away.
Far away. Oh, there we go.
And he blended right in.
Yeah, right. So it just seems to me like he's trying to recruit Cassian, who's just got no morals, whatsoever, and will follow orders and assassinate people. I mean, like, that's kind of what it seems like to me. But good Lord, it's boring. It's just like, these first 2 episodes were very hard to get through.
Yeah. And Stanley is saying naked for some reason.
Naked? What? Okay, that's random.
Yeah.
There was no nudity in the show, but are you
Yeah,
talking
I have
about
no
me?
idea why he's
Did you
saying
take it off?
naked.
Ooh,
No, we don't need you to. You don't have
Nobody
any
wants to-
naked pictures behind you, do you?
No, no, it's a
Yeah.
kid-friendly house, bro. Come on now.
Well, just making sure. I don't want to violate YouTube terms of service.
Yeah.
Although I think that angle works better for you, having the wall of cool stuff behind you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Although you need something below the calendar to fill in that blank area.
Yeah. I was thinking about that the other day. I've just been so busy. I tell you, man, that convention.
Oh, you're saying Sarsgaard plays crazy naked guy in Avengers? Yes. That is him.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was him.
Yeah.
He's mostly involved in the Thor franchise.
Yeah.
Because he was in the first Thor film. He was actually in the first. Yeah, and it's the second Thor film that you see him running around naked.
Yeah.
He's in the first Avengers film. He's the one that builds Loki's machine. So yeah, he's all over the MCU.
So what's the guy's name again with the Forrest Whitaker character from Rogue One? He's from cartoons, because I haven't still watched any of the cartoons yet. So
oh gosh, now you're making me forget. But yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Is he going to be in this show? Because this is around.
Yeah, they show him in the preview for it.
Oh, they did. Okay, I haven't seen the preview.
And it is Forrest Whitaker. They didn't recast him.
Awesome.
Yeah. And so Stan's like, ever since seeing him naked, hard to take him seriously.
Well, he was also in the new Dune. He was the big disgusting pedophile in Dune.
Yeah, and boy was he buried in makeup for that, but he was good.
Yeah.
I mean, he was really creepy.
Yes, Stanley, that's the legless guy.
Yeah. Do we see him with legs?
Yeah, he's the Forrest Whitaker character. He was like,
I
think he's from
because he had mechanical legs. You know what? In the trailer, you don't see his feet, so I don't know. Saw Gerrera, thank you.
Saw Gerrera, yeah. Thank you.
But yeah, so we do know Saw Gerrera is going to show up, which Saw Gerrera is another character who, like, he got kicked out of the rebellion for being a little too takes things too far. But here's my thing. But they're okay with Cassian Andor? I mean, if Saw Gerrera, and I haven't watched all of the Clone Wars and Rebels and all that, so I don't know what.
Both? He's in both of that character's in both Rebels and.
No, I don't. Well, no, he's not in Clone Wars because I don't think he's in Clone Wars. If he did, I missed it.
Right? Yeah.
So he must be a Rebels character because I've gotten through Clone Wars, and I don't remember him. So he must be a Rebels character, but. If Saw Gerrera gets kicked out of the rebellion for being a little too rough, why are they recruiting murderers?
Well, like I said, they want like a hired hand. They can say, go assassinate this guy, go take this guy out. That'll listen. Whereas, and I don't know anything about Rebels, but it sounds like just from what little bit I got from Rogue One, that Saw was more of like, I'm going to do this my way, and blow stuff up, and
Right, he's being an actual terrorist.
Yeah.
But
because the rebels, look at Thomas Potts. Because the rebels are murdering terrorists.
They're the
Thomas,
this show kind of agrees with you.
Yeah.
So there you go, Thomas. So I guess Thomas probably thinks the first 3 movies are propaganda.
Episodes.
Yeah, episode 4, 5, 6, the first 3 movies.
Oh, the first 3 movies. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. That's all rebel propaganda to make you think.
Rebel propaganda. Totally.
But I mean, man, the way that they're doing this, I mean, they might as well just rename the rebellion to Al Qaeda.
Right? Yeah.
So just get it over with. Why are we bothering to hide all this?
Yeah.
Or come up with a very Al Qaeda sounding name. So yeah, I think we can safely say that Andor does not get a high rating from either of us at this point.
No, it's It's worse than watching paint dry.
It's yet to be determined if the entire series is going to be like this.
Right.
So,
But these first 3 episodes were
hopefully
rough.
these first 3 episodes are not an indicator of the rest of the series.
Yeah.
And so
one can hope.
Yeah. And hey, Bondage Brittany's in the house, says, can be really the same climax as Andor, also covering up the Death Star, which was well underway before the Empire, yet no one Star Wars channel mentioned it yet. You mean, so the idea is that the Death Star would have had to have been under construction before the Empire was formed. If you just look at the scale of it. Is what she's saying.
I think I'm going to go back and watch.
However, the funny thing about that, because we do see the Death Star construction in its earliest stages at the end of episode 3 of Revenge of the Sith, and that's also when the Empire is first formed. I missed part 1 of that.
Explain. Okay, bro.
Saw Gerrera was involved in Rebels Season 3, Ghosts and Geonosis, same period as the topic Dawn of Rebels and as Andor, where they found bioweapons, genocided the useful idiot bugs. Gotcha. Sorry, Bondage. I didn't mean to miss that. And so, however, and yes, Stanley, the first Death Star did have a shield, but it wasn't the same kind of shield. So the first Death Star shield was a magnetic shield that would only protect them against large ships, but a fighter could fly right through it. Because remember, they said, passing through the magnetic shield while they're heading towards it. And so the shield that was boosted in the second Death Star, they had a planetary defense shield around it that nothing could penetrate because it had the advantage of a power source coming from the planet. Which I know was like stupid, because why couldn't a Death Star, the Death Star is the size of a moon, why couldn't they generate enough power? Come here, Spring. She's getting in trouble now. T'Pring, get over here. Come here. Come on. Come on. My dog. All right, I'll be right back. Let me go grab her. Are you still there?
Yeah, sorry, I was blowing my nose and didn't want to freak.
Oh, come on. You should do it right at the camera. Yeah. I got to grab my dog. She's getting in trouble. So talk about something.
Sure. So the amazing Las Vegas Comic-Con was this past weekend, and it went relatively well. I had a booth there with the charity I'm a part of, the Las Vegas Cosplayers Alliance, and we did relatively well. We raised a little over $1,500 for the charity. Over the course of the 3 days. Unfortunately, Life is Beautiful was in town at the same time, and made downtown Vegas so difficult and impossible to navigate that the fundraiser after party thing we were supposed to throw was not unfortunately successful. Hey, you're back. So I was
I'm back. I was listening. You were talking about your fundraising. So you're successful. That's good.
Yeah, it was, I would have liked to, my goal was 2,000 over the weekend, because that's what we did at Level Up. Mm-hmm. And, but this was a lot smaller than Level Up for some reason, when it was totally opposite in the past. And surprisingly, it was slow. It was at the convention center, South Hall, Las Vegas Convention Center. And it was Friday there weren't a lot of people. Like in previous years, I've gone to every single one of these amazing cons, and they were always packed, especially Saturday. Walking down the aisles, people would be look like a mosh pit, never got that busy the whole weekend. So in that sense, I should be happy with we would have hit the 2 had the after party happen, because I feel confident I'd have raised at least $500 at the after party. So and it was the first time we ran an event without the president and vice president, Troy and Jackie, because they just had a baby, and they took the baby to Disneyland, which I always find is funny when people do that, because the baby's not going to remember going to Disneyland. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, look, it's Joey's first birthday. We'll take him to Disneyland.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I guess they just want the photos. I don't know, but like, that's why I waited till my kids were older, to make some really, like, one of the best memories I have with my daughter. I took her to Disneyland back when she still loved me, and we rode the little Dumbo ride. Have you ever been to Disneyland? The Dumbo rides, like,
yes,
it just kind of goes up and then. So, she's sitting in front of me and I'm sitting behind her, and she's just got her arms out like this and like all happy and smiling, and it was great. And if I'd have taken her like when she was 2 or 3, she'd never remember that. You know what I mean? But so anyway.
So Bird is suggesting now this was a Star Trek convention.
No. It's a comic convention.
Yeah, because Bird is trying to say, why would a Star Trek convention be slow? Surely it's not because every new series in the last.
I didn't even
garbage.
I didn't even bother going to the Star Trek convention. It was last month. I didn't even bother going to it.
But first of all, Bird, I don't know how many people were at the Star Trek convention, but I mean,
the salty nerds didn't even go this year.
They didn't go. I'm surprised.
No,
because they went last year, right?
Yeah.
But I would argue with you that in the last 5 years, they produced 2 bad shows and 2 good shows. Lower Decks and Strange New Worlds, I think, are good. Picard and Discovery, I think, are crap.
Everybody keeps telling me Prodigy's good, and I don't.
Yeah, Prodigy. I
haven't watched it yet. I have a hard time with these cartoons. Same thing with Star Wars. That's why I haven't watched. And man, I got so many friends that give me grief. They're like, "You need to be watching Clone Wars and Rebels and now Bad Batch and all this stuff." And I'm like,
I'll tell you, it's funny because people say that, and here's something I don't understand. All right, and maybe because I know Bird's in the audience and he's one of those anti-woke guys. So maybe one of you guys can help me out with this. Everybody complains that Star Wars has become woke in recent years. Okay, fine. I'll roll with you for a second. But these same people talk about how awesome Clone Wars and Rebels are, right? And Bad Batch. I'm like, okay. So here's the problem. Clone Wars is insanely woke. They make it out that Padme is like this total badass, right? And she's smarter than any Jedi. And Ahsoka, of course, is the bestest ever at everything.
Oh, and Padme, a badass? That doesn't even. There's no way.
Oh yeah, there's actually an episode, and I'm not even making this up because the Mandalorians, most badass people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Padme sends Ahsoka to rescue the planet Mandalore from the patriarchy. That's in the show, right? That's what this show does. And yet everybody wants to complain that Star Wars suddenly became woke. Did you not pay attention when you were watching Clone Wars and Rebels and Bad Batch? I mean, because these shows are woke.
See, I don't have a problem with Ahsoka at all. I
don't have a problem. I think Ahsoka's awesome. But if you're
making Padme a badass is completely against character. Like,
right.
I mean, just based off of the movies anyway. So that's a weird one.
But she did shoot a blaster a couple of times in the movies. That is true.
Yeah, but that's like.
And now Sci-Fi Nation saying I make things up. Really? So you're saying that Padme didn't send Ahsoka to Mandalore, where Ahsoka had to stop the evil male ruler of Mandalore so they could install a female ruler? That didn't happen. Because I'll tell you right now, Sci-Fi Nation, that is exactly what happened.
Sorry, I had a-
and I'm sorry, but all of a sudden, Padme is like the smartest person in the entire universe.
I like Bert's comment here. You know damn well I don't watch Star Wars cartoons.
I'll give you that, Bert. But I'm just saying, like, a lot of people will say that kind of stuff. They'll say, "Oh, you know, if you watch these cartoons, that's good Star Wars." But this crap that that they're making today is all woke, and it's like that stuff it's every bit as woke as anything today.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one thing I find it very annoying that people think like the woke thing is something new.
Yeah.
That's
well, let's do a little bit of recapping here for the, in case we got some stragglers. I see we got like 14 people in here now. Right. She-Hulk, we both or you liked it. I thought it was meh. I mean, I didn't dislike it, but you liked it. And then
Lower Decks, you didn't bother.
I didn't watch Lower Decks, but you didn't like it as much because it wasn't as funny. Sounds like they pulled an Orville on you. It
was a good story, but not funny.
Then I went on a tangent about the Baz Luhrmann Elvis movie. I highly recommend people check that out. And then Andor was we both agreed. Not great. Not good.
Yeah, Andor is one of those. If Andor were a DVD, my review would be to throw the DVD on the ground and piss on it. Yeah. I've only done that for one other movie.
Well,
care to guess what movie that was?
Oh gosh, I have no idea. I'd love for you to tell me though.
Fant Four Stick.
Oh, I never even bothered watching that movie, so that's good. Yeah.
And in fact, it's in the box, so I'm not going to go get it. I still have the charred remains because after I pissed on it, I covered it with gasoline and lit it on fire. And I still have the.
Did you do this on a stream at least? Did you get paid for this?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so my review was to. Yeah, it threw it on the ground. Of course, I didn't actually piss on it. I just had, like a water bottle that I made it look like I did. And so, see that. And then my hand comes in with some gasoline, pours it on there, and I throw a match on it and poof, watch it go up in flames. And I still have the charred remains of that disc. Yeah,
I tell you, Andor is not good. I wouldn't go that far though. It was a chore to watch, but it's hopefully it gets better. I mean, good Lord, hopefully it gets better. You're gonna make me watch this, but at least
did it still play after the piss, the DVD? Well, yeah, amazingly, it was much better after that because when you put it in the DVD player, it just says error, cannot read disc, and it's like, yes, that's much better,
infinitely better. Well, hey man, so did you want to talk about anything else? We kind of covered, all the stuff, extra stuff.
We talked about the Death Star and all that.
And so, your health getting better?
Well, I have diverticulitis now, in addition to everything else. That's why I was.
Is that my friend had that? Isn't that something that can be, cured? Or
oh yeah, it's easily treated. That's the good thing. Is that basically. When they diagnosed it and they test, as sensitive as I was to when the doctor touched me, that was like very acute. So they gave me some good old Oxy to deal with the pain, and then they gave me antibiotics, that'll take care of it. But here's the problem with diverticulitis. Once they don't know exactly how it develops, but it does seem more common in people that have abdominal surgery. And I've had 2 abdominal surgeries in my life because I had my appendix out. And then after that, they removed a section of my colon to make sure, because they found cancer in my appendix and they needed to make sure it didn't spread. Fortunately, that was 10 years ago. And so I'm officially a cancer survivor.
Good.
But the diverticulitis, what happens is, for some people, and like I said, it's more common in people that had surgery in their abdomens. I'm being attacked by my dog right now. some people develop bulges in their colon. So like little bulges that come off of the large intestine. And if any material coming down your colon gets blocked up in those bulges, it can get infected. So the technical term for those bulges are diverticulas. And so diverticulitis is an infection in the diverticula.
Okay.
And so basically that's why you have to take antibiotics. That takes care of the infection. But the stuff basically works its way out naturally.
Yeah, man. Well,
and
I hate to hear you're going through that, and
it's very painful.
I had appendicitis when I was, I think it was 14. I almost died from it because
did it rupture or did?
Yeah, it ruptured.
Oh man, that's no good if you have a rupture.
Yeah. And that's why my scar, like that I have, is so big, because apparently it ruptured while I was there, like on the operating table.
Well, that's good then, because
I was in there, because they said I would have gone septic and I would have died,
right.
But this was, gosh, and it happened like a Thanksgiving too, I believe. Like, I was 14. I don't know if Mom's in the chat, she'll remember, but it's no bueno, man, that stuff. But I've thankfully never had any other abdominal issues since.
Yeah, and yes, Thomas, you can take down the memorial for me in Minecraft because I am not yet dead. That's very nice of you. So basically, I got to take antibiotics for about a week, and after today, I'll be out of pain pills, but I'll survive. But that's about it from the diverticulitis, and then the MS is still the same. And so the nice thing is the pain pills gave me a couple days break from the pain from the MS, because Oxy actually works. The problem with it is that they always worry that you're going to get addicted to it, and so they'll only give 2 days at a time.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I have been on Percocet 10 milligrams for a while because of the various issues that I have, and it's I tell you what, man, it's hard. They like for people who actually need them to get, it's like,
right.
Because I'm not addicted to my pills. I just don't want to. I'm addicted to not being in pain.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, but you have to really ration. I have to really ration them out because they don't. Like ideally, on a bad day, I should be able to take 4, but I still can't bring myself to do it because I don't want to run out. Because then they also because I go to pain management.
Yeah.
They every time you go in, they make you. They pee test you, and if your pee comes back without any of the oxy in your system, they won't give it to you anymore because they just assume you're selling it. And one time I failed that test because I didn't have any in my system because I had ran out a couple days prior, but I called them and told them that I was out because I was in pain and I was trying to get a couple more. And they just stay with you. It's ridiculous, man. And you have to
and my thing about it is that, okay, I understand that Oxy can be habit forming. I get that. Now, I've never felt like an addiction to it because every time they've given it to me when I run out, like assuming the pain's gone, I wasn't craving to get more,
Yeah.
So, but I get all that. However, when they talk about the opioid crisis and stuff, my big problem with that is like, this is a substance that is prescribed by doctors. If someone steals it, that's a whole different ballgame. If you want to talk about people stealing drugs, okay, those people need to be tracked down, hunted down, arrested, put in jail, all that. But if a doctor is prescribing it to you, there should be no worry about it because that's what doctors do.
Yeah,
it's not like I'm going to the doctor saying, "Hey, buddy, I need a fix," and the doctor's like going, "Okay, let me write your prescription for 500 oxy." That doesn't happen.
No.
They're gonna, if you're in severe pain and you need to take it 3 times a day, then they're gonna give you a prescription for 90 of them for a month.
Yeah. That's what I have is 90.
Right.
I mean, I don't have 90 right now, but I go next week to get my refill. But so I just found it. Get this. So I have Tuesday, I go to the doctor for my pre-op, because I'm a heart attack survivor. I have to do an EKG and a couple other heart tests.
Kind of like me in colonoscopy. So I get it.
Yeah. So then after I do all that, Tuesday, I'll get the actual date for my shoulder surgery. Mm-hmm. And then I was supposed to go to the doctor in a week about my hip, but they called me the other day to tell me that because I'm not over 50, they cannot see me. And I'm like, well, I've got an 80-year-old hip. Doesn't that count? I mean, it's bad. I need it replaced. It hurts. They're like, not by us, buddy. And I was like, that was a little beat up,
Hey, that's like my smart pills that I take. Which I jokingly call it that because the MS was making me seriously having difficulty thinking, and I was getting confused easily, and I was forgetting things. And so the doctor prescribed, how do you say this? Donepezil, something like that. Which is a drug that helps people with cognitive degeneration. Mm-hmm. And my insurance company straight up refused to pay for it. And I was like, why won't you cover this? I need it for my MS. Well, that drug is for people with dementia and Alzheimer's. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, because it's used to help people with memory loss and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, I understand. I have those symptoms. But it's MS. And they go, well, yeah, but it's only for people with Alzheimer's or dementia, so we won't cover it. So I have to pay full price for that one.
Oh, God.
And the thing that sucks is it works because I've been much more functional since I've taken it. I'm still not quite where I was before the MS hit me, but I'm able to at least function. So it's stupid the way that the bureaucracy works because a lot of this stuff is decided by bean counters and lawyers, not by doctors.
I'm not waiting 7 years to get my hip replaced. I mean, they replaced my left one. Why are they giving me a hard time about my right one? I mean, it's just so.
Oh, and Stan Lee was talking earlier about how there were shady doctors that would make money off of prescribing lots of oxycodone and stuff. Oh. And I get that, but then those doctors need to be prosecuted and sent to jail. It doesn't mean that people that genuinely need it should not be able to get it.
Exactly. Like you're punishing everybody,
right?
And really you're hurting the people that need it the most.
I forgot how good the stuff was until I had to take it this week. And for the first time in years, I actually had a brief time that I was not in pain.
Yeah, and it's crazy. I don't know if Cece's still in the chat, but they're so Monday after the convention. Oh my God, dude! Like when I woke up, I was at like all-time 10. Like everything hurt, my neck, my hip, my shoulder, because the whole weekend I was on my feet, and it was freaking terrible, man. So like I could not imagine not being able to take one of my pills like on a day like that, because dude, and it sucks because there are a lot of people that are in that boat that are in a ton of pain and they can't get anything.
And so and then there's the thing, like I remember when my dad had cancer and he was terminal, and when he was on hospice, he was in a whole lot of pain. And my mom would be fighting with the doctors, trying to, hey, we need to up his morphine doses because he's in a lot of pain right now. And they wouldn't up his morphine because it's an addictive substance. And it's like, the man is dying. Who the hell cares if he gets addicted to it? He's going to be taking it until he dies.
Yeah, that's
you know, and like that's kind of like how I feel with the MS. It's like, hey, if you have a painkiller that actually works, if the worst case scenario is that it becomes habit forming, well, it's going to be habit forming anyway because I'm going to have to keep taking it. It's not like the MS is just going to magically go away.
Isn't that funny? So I take, you know, I have no problem admitting this to people. You know, I take Zoloft every day, and that's technically that's a habit every morning at the same time.
That's what a habit is.
Yeah. So it's like, why? Just anyway.
And if it is something like if you have a person with something that causes chronic pain, and they're going to have that for the rest of their lives, then, you know, if the painkiller might be habit forming, the honest answer is who the hell cares?
Yeah.
Because if that person's going to need it for the rest of their lives, then it doesn't matter if it's habit forming or not.
Yeah. Well,
you know?
Yeah, it's just stupid. I look forward to, well, the two of the three surgeries. Once the shoulder one's first. I got to figure out what's going on with the hip. It was supposed to be second, and then my neck. The scariest one is the neck, because my neck and my hip are the two biggest sources of my pain. Right. And I would love to not have to need pain pills. You know, that'd be great. You know, but I gotta get some more surgeries, unfortunately. So
woohoo! Just got a new bid on my comics. So I'm loving eBay right now.
Oh, really? Right on.
Yeah. I put one of my Fantastic Four comics up for sale. I was hoping to be able to get about $1,200 for it, and the current bid is $3,500.
Nice. Did you put that Daredevil one up that we were talking about, or
no? Because I actually sold that on the side.
Oh, okay. So, right on.
So, but because basically a guy that bid on one of my other comics, he said, "Hey, you wouldn't happen to have any?" And in his list was Daredevil #1. I was like, "Well, I do have that one," and so we negotiated a price, and it's on its way to him right now.
Right on.
Anyway, yeah, what was it? Stanley was asking, I think, if I take other pills every day. I currently take. I have about 10 prescriptions that I take daily, not counting the Copaxone, which is the only drug I take that's specifically for MS. Copaxone is a drug that you don't feel any of the effects of it, but all it really does is slow down the progress of MS. MS gradually gets worse as you age. But it makes it so that it gets worse slower. So it doesn't make you better, but it slows down the progression. So that I have to inject myself with 3 times a week. But then I have about 10 pills I take every day. Well, some of them I take multiple times a day, but 10 different prescriptions for daily use.
Now, we're agreeing with you, Stanley. It makes no sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And all those pills are for pain mitigation. But the problem is, none of them actually get rid of the pain. They help to like they deaden certain nerve inputs and stuff, and they lower the pain a little bit. Like if I don't take them, I can feel the difference, but I'm in pain with them or without them.
Yeah.
And the thing is, a general pain medication like oxycodone absolutely works. So you could replace my 10 prescriptions with that one, and I would feel better. But they won't do it because they're paranoid about it becoming addictive or something.
Yeah.
And it's like, the MS ain't going away. I don't care if I'm addicted to it. And
right.
Because I do need it, you know, and all an addiction is the feeling that you need the drug. Well, I do need the drug. So, you know, so give it to me, but no.
Yeah.
And then, I live in a state where the herb that you're mentioning will probably never become legal, because here in Tennessee, the politicians think CBD is a hard drug. So
I'm addicted to air and food. That's funny.
Yeah. Well, that's true. You know, you technically are, because do you feel like you can't live for more than 5 minutes without a breath? Well, then you're addicted to air. You know. You feel like you can't live more than a week without water? You're addicted to water. You know.
So it looks like we've got some people chatting about the Lower Decks episode. I again,
Yeah, because you
Blaine
didn't
and
bother to watch it.
Brittany, sorry, I didn't watch it, but sounds like they were digging it. So Riker was in it again.
No,
this week?
Riker wasn't in it.
Oh,
I
what is she
don't know
talking
why
about? A
they-
clean-shaven Riker, or that was Donnie.
Yeah. I don't know that they did mention the Kelvin timeline, which was kind of funny. Now they didn't mention it directly because, of course, nobody in the Prime universe would know about the Kelvin timeline. But when Rutherford woke up from a nightmare, he was like, oh, I had a horrible nightmare, and she's like, oh, is it that one where you find yourself in an alternate universe where Kirk and Spock have a different chemistry? he's like, no, not that one.
Yeah, I do need to get caught up on those for you. I might even check out Prodigy this week, and I've got Gary and I, our schedules are just not working, meshing very well because I've got this website I'm ready to launch, but I need to get with him first to launch it, and we just keep missing each other. So I'm hoping to get that taken care of this weekend. So I might just binge Lower Decks and maybe even Prodigy over the weekend while I'm in between, hopefully getting with
Prodigy. If I catch up on Prodigy, we'll have to talk about that one of these times.
Okay.
In the meantime, I'm just excited because thanks to the powers of eBay, I'll be able to get the audio equipment stuff that I need so that my wife and I can start doing our show in the not too distant future.
That's cool.
And that's the coolest thing to me.
My ex-wife and I, we were going to do a show. I even made a logo for it and everything. It was May Divorce Be With You, and it looked like
that's actually pretty good.
Yeah. And I thought
were you guys divorced at the time?
Oh, we've been divorced for,
I know, but when you were going to do the show, were you divorced?
Oh yeah. This was just
so
maybe within the last year, I made the logo, within this year. And just I don't know. Then I thought maybe it'd be more fun to do like one with Cece, like the I Love Lucy thing, but Cece, So I don't know, but it's cool. What are you guys gonna talk about?
A lot of stuff. I mean, we'll talk about because being a middle-aged interracial couple that's been together for 30 years. We've seen a lot of change in race relations over that time. And so that's something we'll be talking about. We'll just be talking about another thing is that, making adjustments in as far as how we need to live now that my physical condition is going to continue to deteriorate. And how,
so this is going to be
it's going to be a life kind of show.
Okay. Kind of like a serious.
Yeah,
more serious.
And we'll talk about movies and stuff too, because she has similar tastes of me in movies, but not the same.
Okay.
And I will tell you, she clocked out after episode 1 of Andor. She was like, "I'm done."
Yeah. See,
and so she doesn't have a show to do. She could do that. Yeah. But she did the same thing, by the way, with Discovery. She watched the first 2 episodes with me, and then she's like, "I'm out," and she hasn't watched it since. However, she does watch Strange New Worlds every week with me. So she's willing to give it a try. But if she doesn't like it, she's just like, yeah, I'm not going to watch that.
When does that come back? I can't wait for that.
Not until I think beginning of next year. It'll come out after Picard. But yeah, so we'll be able to talk about stuff like that. But she like, I'm hard on the sci-fi. She tends to like horror more than sci-fi. But between the two of us, we have a lot of, we've seen a lot of movies together in the theaters. And the nice thing is I never have to say, oh, I'm going to have to see this next Marvel movie by myself, because, she'll watch it with me. But if a series doesn't appeal to her, the only Marvel series she skipped out on was Miss Marvel. She was like, yeah, no thanks.
I still haven't watched that one yet.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people didn't want to watch it. I try to tell people it's a lot better than you think. And I understand that, you know, hey, it's a girl and it's a show that's aimed at teenagers, you know, so I get that, but the show is a lot better than you think. And
Yeah.
to all you woke meisters out there, the smartest guy in the show is also the only white male on the show. So, which is kind of interesting. Um, so when Real Quest for the Beach Sword, I haven't played that game in weeks. It's driving me crazy. But and actually that's another thing though, Cinnabon, is my wife and I played Diablo 2 together for thousands of hours. And so that's something that we actually really enjoyed was playing Diablo 2. We were thinking about, like, we may do when Diablo 4 comes out, if it's good, maybe she and I will do live streams playing that together.
Right on.
And so that'll be the Monday show. Our show will stay the same on Thursday. When we transition to the new channel, it'll just be on a different channel.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest of the stuff we're gonna be doing a regular movie show as well, where we watch we're gonna start out watching movies from the Amazon catalog, and then encourage people that, hey, if you got a movie you want us to watch, good or bad, as long as it's not like porn or something, send it to our PO box and we'll watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is, we'll watch it. So you want to send me some horrible movie from 1952, we'll watch it and we'll talk about it. But that'll be something we're going to do, because we love watching movies together, and that's something we do regularly anyway. I'm like, you know what, we should make a show out of it.
Yeah.
Because one of the things we do is we talk to each other during the movie about how stupid something is, or how cool something is, and it's like, that's what those shows are, is talking during the movie. And it's like, okay, yeah, we can do that. And do I have VHS or beta? I'm testing. I have a VHS to DVD converter. I got to see if I can get that to work. Because once I can get it to DVD format, then I can transfer it to the projector. So I should be able to. I don't have anything that does beta, but I might be able to do VHS. So that could be fun. Laserdisc is the future, according to Cinnabon.
Oh, you remember when Blu-ray, Sony came out with Blu-rays, and then Microsoft came out with
the HD DVDs. Yeah.
Well, I put that was the equivalent of VHS beta in our recently. So I still have a bunch of those HD DVD movies I've been trying to get rid of forever.
I have a friend that was like, he was all in on the HD DVD because he was an Xbox guy, and
me too, man. I actually have the HD DVD.
So he bought like every HD DVD, and he was like, and I had a PlayStation 3, and I was like, I'm just gonna go with Blu-ray because it's included in the PlayStation. I don't have to buy an exterior drive like you did with Xbox.
Yeah,
and
I actually have mine hooked up to the computer. My Xbox HD DVD drive, so I can, if I ever get bored and want to watch one of the movies I've been trying to get rid of, I guess I can. Other than that,
so he had like every HD DVD that came out, and then once HD DVD was canceled, he was just like, son of a bitch. And
like I backed the wrong horse in that race.
DVHS is where it's at. I've never even heard of that. D Theater is still the only HD version of True Lies. Have you ever heard of DVHS?
No.
Yeah, me neither. And Cinnamon's saying, send all your unwanted DVDs to Salty. Well, it shouldn't just be unwanted DVDs. It should be stuff you actually want us to watch together. Because if you're just unloading your garbage DVDs, then I'm just going to throw them on eBay. Yeah.
Right
50
on.
cents plus shipping. It's all yours. I'll take it. I'll take it a buck at a time.
Mhm.
I ain't worried about it. Oh, you got a bunch from your storage units that maybe you'll send. Well, as long as there's no unicorn horns involved, that's okay. Yes. Cinnabon has a huge collection of of unicorn horns.
Really?
Yeah, he's one of those guys that, as a hobby, he buys abandoned storage facilities.
Oh, okay. Yeah, people.
And
There's
then
a lot
he does live streams as he's going through them.
Okay.
And digging through them, seeing what he's got.
Yeah,
And
there's
he's actually gotten some pretty cool stuff, like a bunch of Star Trek trading cards and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But
that's a big thing out here in Vegas, also, because all the storage and people like this.
But yeah, he got a ton of unicorn horns. You know what a unicorn horn is, right?
I mean,
Personal massager.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I've never heard it called that before. Okay.
Yes. So,
all right.
So yeah, he would constantly find those in the storage bin, which.
Wow.
So you don't do that anymore, Cinnamon? Okay.
Well, he says he's closed, yeah. But every unit has unicorn horns.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's funny. Well,
for some reason, women throw their unicorn horns in self-storage.
That's weird. All right.
So,
well, look,
in case you want a unicorn horn, you could always go to self-storage and buy one.
Yeah. No.
Hey, Blaine is taking off. Have a good one. And the funny thing is that I told Cinnabon he should do this. Is like, if he puts stuff up on eBay and stuff to sell it. But what he should do is when he because he also finds like old purses and stuff like that, and sometimes they leave their ID and stuff in them.
Oh wow!
So I told him what you should do is when you find a unicorn horn and an ID in the same storage bin, then you put them in a bag together and you sell those on eBay.
I don't know if that's legal. I don't know if selling.
Why would it be legal? It's abandoned junk from a storage bin.
Well, I mean, their ID though. I don't know if that's.
Why is it? You know what? If I find an ID on the ground, is it illegal to sell it? Why not?
I don't know. Oh, well,
it's just a piece of plastic with a picture on it, some numbers. And
so is a credit card.
Yeah, so hey, you want to buy this? No problem. Then that way you can, return it to the original owner.
Oh. Well, actually, man, I do got to get. I got to hop on another. I need to harass Gary because he and I got to get together.
I see how you want to abandon me so that you can hang out with someone else.
Well, I don't know if I'll even get to hang out, but I do got to. Some work. You want to know what I got in the mail the other day, and I didn't even know they still made these. Real quick,
unicorn horn,
a Yellow Pages.
Oh wow!
Did you know they still make these things? I had no
idea. The last time I saw one was probably about 10 years ago.
Yeah, I hadn't. Blew my mind when I got it in the mail. I was like, why am I getting? First of all, I don't have a landline, so I don't know why. But
you're right, Penny. What he should just return. That'd be funny. You find the address on the ID and mail the unicorn horn and the ID to that address.
Yeah, return it to the owner.
Which would be great if, like, the husband got the package and opened it up. It's like, honey, why do I have your ID and this?
Wow, so you guys get one every year. This is the first time I've lived in Vegas 13 years. First phone book I've ever seen here. Like,
Do you have a landline phone?
Never. No, the entire time I've lived here, I've not had a.
Yeah, it's funny because in the old days that was the internet.
Yeah, no, I know. That's how I got started. It was life-changing for me. I got a half-page ad in the Yellow Pages in High Point, North Carolina, and that's how I.
That was the only way you could find a business.
Yeah.
Now it's like, if I need, we need a tire. Let's look on the phone. Where's the nearest place where I can get a tire? Okay, 3 blocks that way. That's how you find something nowadays.
Yeah.
It's like, that's just crazy.
Yeah. All right, Donnie, it was good having you in the
have
chat.
a good one, Donnie.
And,
so we're going to wrap it up here. So since we're talking about unicorn horns for the last half hour, obviously, I think we've run this show dry.
Yeah.
But thank you all for hanging out. Thank you, Bird, for the super chat. I do appreciate that. Help keep the lights on around here. And and remember, you are the salt of the earth. Danny is an idiot, and I am the salty trekker. But it says Dan. Yeah, Dork didn't watch Star Trek. What kind of a guy is that? How do you call yourself a nerd and skip out on Star Trek? That's like,
live long and prosper, everyone.